George hadn't touched his tools for many days. They sat in the small shed behind his house, covered in dust. There was the saw his father once gave him, and the cutting tools he had bought years ago when he still believed he would create something meaningful. Every morning he walked past that shed on his way to a job he never truly wanted. And every time he passed it, he told himself the same thing. Tonight, he would finally start. But when night came, there were always reasons to wait. George was in his early 30s. He had a stable office job, a small house, and a quiet life. Nothing seemed wrong from the outside, yet he felt empty. He had never built anything with his own hands, no finished projects, nothing that proved he could create something real. His father had been a carpenter, a true craftsman. He built their family home slowly, piece by piece, after work and on weekends. As a child, George watched him carefully sanding wood for long periods, measuring again and again, before making a single cut. Wood does not forgive mistakes. Those words stayed with him. He remembered them every time he walked past the shed, and kept going. One morning, he noticed his neighbor, William, working outside. William was older now, no longer strong, but he was building a simple wooden bench. He worked slowly and with care. George watched from his window. After a short time, William stopped, cleaned his tools, covered the bench, and went back inside. The next day, the same thing happened. A little work, then rest. Curious, George stepped outside with his coffee. "You're building that very slowly," he said. "I don't have much strength," William replied, "so I give what I can." "When will you finish it?" "It will be done when it's done. What matters is that every day I come back to it." That evening, George opened the shed. The familiar smell of wood, oil, and dust filled the air. Memories came back to him. In the corner stood an unfinished bookshelf. He had started it long ago and never completed it. He picked up a piece of sandpaper and smoothed one small corner. Just a few minutes. Then he stopped and closed the door. The next day, he came back and did a little more. Some evenings, he worked only a few minutes, sometimes longer. Sometimes he was too tired and didn't do anything at all. But the next day, he returned. Slowly, the bookshelf began to take shape. Then work became harder. Longer hours, more pressure. He felt exhausted. Days passed without him entering the shed. One evening, he saw William again, still working on the same bench. "You're still at it?" George asked. "I missed a few days," William said, "but I came back." "Doesn't it bother you to stop and start again?" "That's just life. The real problem is not coming back at all." That stayed with George. That night, he opened the shed again. He didn't think about how long it had been. He just picked up the sandpaper and worked for a few minutes. And then he returned again, the next day, and the next. Step by step, the bookshelf was completed. Some days he worked with focus. Some days he only stood there, thinking. But he kept coming back. One quiet evening, he placed the final shelf into position. The bookshelf was finished. It wasn't perfect. The color was uneven in places. One corner wasn't exactly straight, but it was real. He had made it. He didn't feel like a different person. He didn't feel like a winner. He just felt calm. He placed his father's old book on the top shelf and stepped back to look at his work. Then he opened his notebook and drew a simple table. Nothing complicated, just 4 legs and a flat surface. He would start it tomorrow, maybe just a few minutes, maybe a little more. It didn't matter. He knew now that he would finish it. not because he had to, but because he had learned something important. He had learned to come back.